Hi everyone. My name is Funmi Kelsey, and I've been working as a software engineer for the past 3 years, and I'm currently on a journey of implementing stuff with AI. So I'm sharing the things I'm learning on call. A problem which I've faced and took me some time to think on is the problem of how we display information from an LLM continuously on the mobile device or the client device to improve the user experience. So when you normally go to an AI system and then you type something like um, just a test, you notice that it will have sent a request to the backend, and now it's sending us custom events here in real time, assessing, defining the parameters, and then you finally print the text piece by piece until it's finally done with everything. So this is a very important concept with regards to AI applications, where we don't want to generate all of this data in the background and then just bring everything to our user. We want the user to have a good experience, to know the progress of our app and what we are doing in the background. I started asking myself, how can we solve this? So I got to find two primary methods in which we could solve this, which are server send events and versus WebSocket events, another form of doing that. And the two of them have both their advantages and their disadvantages. And after this, the goal is that we are going to see one which we think we are going to conclude on which one is better for building AI applications. So first of all, server side events are events that they are one-way connection between the server and the client. So the server can push events to the client can push events to the server. So that's exactly what we something we need here. While WebSocket connections are real-time bi-directional connection between the client and the server, meaning the client can push information to the server and the server can also push information to the client. So from here we already have a filter on which one is better for our case, because for this kind of applications we send a request to the server, and then now all we do is receive a bunch of events from the client saying push this text, push this order until we have everything, push this state for the case where it was loading. So with regards to that, you can see that um, WebSocket events be might have also it might leave us will give us too much power than we might actually require to use. So just to list out some of the applications of where we might need this in your API application, we have token by token LLM generation, which you saw with each time we had different words here being generated until we had everything. The next one is multi-agent step tracking. We notice that when we search this, when we type this, it wrote some text saying doing this, searching the web, and all of that. So when we have multiple agents that are working together, users want to know what's actually going on, because when we have multiple agents running together, the process can take up to 2 minutes. So we want to see compiling results, fetching data from your document, and so forth, so that users are always intact. Real-time vector search and retrieval. Maybe we want to send events to the client to do something for us. Long-running async tasks and agentic background workers, like in the case of what Cursor is doing. Live AI guardrails and moderation telemetry. So let's say for the case where we want that the user sends a prompt, and then if it discovers at some point that there's an issue with the prompt, we have to in real time tell the user's client that um, they have broken one of the guardrails, they've been blocked by one of the guardrails because they wrote something in their text. So these are some of the applications. I'm going to go into a deep dive of how both work. Server send events, as we said, are like one-way connection between the client and the server, where the server is the only one which can push events to the client. So the way server send events are established is a browser is going to send a normal HTTP request with the accept type of text slash event stream. Then our server is going to read that, and if everything is okay, it's going to change the content type to text/event stream, and then now it's going to maintain that HTTP request between the server and the browser. But the difference now is the server is the only one which can push events to the browser. Connection request open onto the client closes it, or the server terminates it. So the client will close the connection by closing the tab, and the server, or you can even receive an event from the server telling you to terminate the connection. So the next thing now is for the WebSocket connections, where we have the client and the server, and then it's established in this way. The client will send a request to the server, a normal HTTP request, with the schema of WS or WSS and some parameters telling it that it's a WebSocket connection. Then when the server receives it, if it's good with it, then it's going to send a response back. It's going to switch the protocol and send a response back. And once the client receives that response, if the client is okay with the response, then the HTTP connection is terminated and a new bidirectional connection is established, which is called the WebSocket connection. And both can now send and receive events between each other. So I wrote some sample codes here to demonstrate both of them. So let's say, starting with this one, we have SSE events for the server sent events, and we have the WebSocket events here. So we can start by opening let's say the server sent event, and if we run the Python file, if I run it, I have to set up the environment. Then we'll run it. So a Python file is running for the SSE. Once we open now our browser, we see that it's pushing the tokens one at a time. So if we reach through that code, we will see here in our index.html, we're going to establish a connection. The connection is establishing the event source that handles server sent event connections. So when we receive an event, we do that using the add event listener. If it's an initial event, then we add that system data which we saw here, and if it's a token event, we are going to append it to the list of bots that we have here. And finally, in case we have an error, we are going to close everything. So if it's a closed event, then you close normally, since the server told us to do that. So the way that's set up in the server.py is server sent event represented by the streaming response, and then here we have the sample text here. Then we are going to break that sample text into simple chunks, and we'll initialize it, give it a second. Then we are going to push the server sent events one at a time here with the data which contains the words, and we'll display it there. So that's how server sent event works for this case. And here, just for an explanation of that, this doesn't require us having much memory saved on the server. It's just we have one-way connection which we are pushing things through. Then to demo that of the WebSocket connection, we have to also still initialize Python environment and then run it. So before we go ahead and check that, let's read the code. We're going to receive the request here, and then when we do that, we'll accept the WebSocket event. Then from there, we'll receive text from the WebSocket, which will be our prompt. So the advantage of the WebSocket here is that we could send a prompt through our WebSocket once it's established. Instead of that, for the server side server sent event is that we sent a request, and then at the back the server creates a unique URL which we can then use to receive the events. We are not really sending a new prompt through that same socket connection. We are just going to be receiving, so there's going to be some form of authentication there. But with the WebSocket part of things, we can both receive text from the server as seen here. This means sending the prompt to the initial setup, and then once we receive that, we can now prepare a response, and then we push the response one at a time to the client, and when it's done we close the connection. So there are two edge cases here, which either we want to have both send a prompt and receive events on one connection, which is a WebSocket connection, meaning that we have to have unlimited. As for the client side, for the server send event here, we have just one connection between the server and the browser. So it means we are going to send a request here and establish connection and call the receive. And for this case here, we have a two-way connection between the two of them, and we can send and receive data, meaning we can use this connection to both send and receive a prompt, or we can send a prompt using a post request, and then I will use a single connection just for receiving the output from the prompt. So depending on the amount of resources that we have, we can choose either of these. This one requires a lot more infrastructure, in that this WebSockets occupy, we need to take up we need to create space for both the receiving bytes and the sending bytes in memory, and to establish a connection between the client and the server. So we need a server that is capable of handling WebSockets, while this one does not require us to allocate those two to allocate that much memory. It requires way less memory, and it's inbuilt into the user's browser through the InventSource library. It's not going to be affected by firewalls, and if this connection is going to automatically re-establish itself, by on this side we have to write custom code to re-establish the connection. This one will work on lower network cases because it has low HTTP overhead, while this one requires a lot more of it takes much more HTTP overhead. So a comparison of that, before I do that, let me run that for the WebSockets HTML, and when I click this, we see that we are receiving the events one at a time as they are being pushed. So the next thing is comparison between why should we choose SSD or WebSocket. So in terms of direction, SSD is unidirectional server to client, while WebSocket is bidirectional full duplex. For this case here, we are going to be requiring mostly sending information from the server to the client, so we don't really need a bidirectional port. We can send our prompt through a post request, and now we use just the unidirectional server send events port for receiving data from the server. And then the next thing is the protocol. Where server send events uses standard HTTP2 multiplex, while WebSocket require custom WS or WSS. Next, reconnection. So WebSocket SSEs have built-in automatically via browser, while WebSockets require manual JavaScript implementation. Then next, corporate firewalls. It traverses seamless standard web traffic, often blocked by aggressive proxies or firewalls. The last one says load, perfect for AI streaming. Inputs and fast outputs are progressive, overkill or less building multiplex canvas applications. So if you want to look at things without looking at the infrastructure of them, WebSockets will normally be a better way to go about it. But we don't want to create an overkill solution for a simple problem. So the conclusion on servers and events being a better way to go about it is based on that we want to use less resources to accomplish the same thing as we would do for WebSocket connections. So that's it for this. If you have a thought on something that I might have left out, I'll be glad to hear about it in the comments below. Thank you very much.